Hello, I'm Sanny. Today we're going to fold the Chinese blowing frog, a very traditional fold from when I was about 6 years old. I've put a story to it and it's called The Bouncing Cheque. Let's begin. Hello, let's start. We'll be using A4 or A5 paper like this, and we can fan it. And take one for our use. We start with this paper turned this way, fold it in half, and we have the tent. This is when you wake up in the morning and you find yourself inside a tent. You're not sure where you are, so what you do is open up one corner of the tent, fold it right up to the ridge. It should be pointed at that spot, and we look outside, and what we see are flowers, kangaroo paws, everlastings, and we see some smoke bushes as well as some blue gums. Obviously we're in somebody's garden, but where is this garden? We now have a look on the other side of the tent. We open up that corner, and all of a sudden we see a cliff. It's a very high cliff, and it keeps going down lower and lower until we see a city. We are perched on a cliff overlooking a large city. Which city is this? It's the city of Perth. And when we look at it, we see the second tallest building in Perth. This is the Bankwest Tower. Now, Bankwest was once sold to another bank in a country very far away, where it's very cold. They have a lake with maybe a monster in the lake, and that would be Loch Ness. And so it's the Bank of Scotland that has bought over this bank. Well, when they buy over a bank, they will check the accounts very carefully. So the first thing they do is they open up the curtains right at the top, over here, and the curtains over on this side. When we open up the curtains, we want to check that it lines up with this edge and lines up with this edge. And of course the person they send is an Irish accountant. And being Irish, he wants to be very careful, and he will check the accounts 3 times. That's to be sure, to be sure, to be sure. And so he holds it up to the light to have a look. And the accounts doesn't look very clear. So he turns it up the other way and has a look at the light in the other direction. And he sees shadows in the accounts. Then the third check is folded down exactly at these corners, making sure that the sharp point meets the center line. And that's how that should look. And on this side. And after the third check, he finds in the attic the lease. On this lease is written all the conditions for the loan and for the sale of the bank. And the lease says you have to build a house right on this plot of land. We fold this corner and this corner. And we now have the house. This is the house that is double-story with double garage and a beautiful garden. How can you tell that this house has a beautiful garden? It's got these. These are your lapels around the collar, and therefore it's a well-dressed house. As such, the house is very popular. When it goes on auction, everybody wants to buy it. And they give you the cheque. The cheque comes from below here. You tilt it up and push it underneath the lapels at those 2 spots, as high as it will go, and then you crease that. And this is the cheque, which is tucked in underneath the lapels. We then write our name here on the cheque before we present it to the bank. As we present it, the bank teller turns it over onto its back and places it down. And people who work at the bank are very good at counting money. That's because their fingers are very flexible, like this. Right hand, index finger, and we do a curl and up and curl and up and curl and up. If you're good with the right hand, you might want to try the left hand. Or both together, one after the other. We can also do multiplication, which goes this way. Or like this. Once that's all done, we can now open up this part of the house until we get this flattened edge. We flatten this out there, flatten this here, flatten this there, and this is what it looks like. We turn it over, and we now bring this right to the edge of the table. We bring it right to the edge here, have a little bit of it hanging over. We put our hand over there, hold on to this edge and pull it over the edge, but only once. And what that does is it curls the paper just a little bit. Rotate that back around. We now turn up the back just a little bit. Lift it up, put our thumbs underneath, have a pull to the left and a pull to the right. This is what happens to the cheque when we present it to the bank. This is the bouncing cheque, or the Chinese blowing frog.